that was ironic. I guess I wasn't paying as close attention to that legislation, but the problem was they never got we don't have to get a picture of the driver. And so that bill got through, but the last session we tried to get it amended so that we didn't have this problem, and it didn't get any traction. And again, probably in the 08 session, we're going to be going back to push it. I think one of the driving forces that we all had, and the mayor alluded to in his presentation, what pushed this and will continue to drive us home, was during this session and when the bill had finally been passed, July 31st, 2005, a traffic accident occurred at Madison and Manheim Road at 2:30 a.m., resulting in 4 fatalities. There was no question. Somebody violated the red light. So the mayor and the village board have seen a great value to continue to pursue the automated traffic enforcement within the General Assembly. As an anecdotal bit of information, both drivers are both doing time in jail right now over that incident. And every time I drive by, there's a memorial at that location. You don't forget it. And so you see the importance of this enforcement. We just cannot have police officers at every intersection at all times. We faced, and again, there's always this move to remove it. In the 2006, which I've talked about and I explained, we joined forces with the city of Chicago. We assembled a team of 9 lobbyists. During the process, it was brought to our attention that the speaker did not want us to include speeding in it, so in case anyone has a question. And we had a meeting in Senator Harmon's conference room, and it was brought to my attention by our team of 9 lobbyists that we were not going to pass the legislation if we kept speeding in. We removed the speeding piece and kept the red light in with the optimism that we want to go back. And this is where a large number of municipalities getting behind us. We also ended up having to scale this bill back, which really had Cook and the Collier counties and then downstate the 2 counties outside of St. Louis as what stayed in. Everything else was carved out of the bill. So the current bill stands, and it was signed by the governor, only involves Cook and the Collier counties. We're interested again, and the reason why I keep talking about it is we're going to go back. We want to pass it. What was interesting is we ended up with 2 different bills passed. We ended up having to go back and ultimately got the Senate bill and the House bill to try and speak to each other, and ultimately the final bill was House Bill 4835. We had issues over fines. We had issues over the inclusion of speeding, as I'm pointing out, and so this was all carved out. The final bill wasn't what we wanted, but it's Illinois politics. I mean, it's what we had to work through that process in the General Assembly. We were trying to get a slice off. We want to go back and get a bigger slice next time and keep working until this bill really starts looking at all the traffic concerns that we feel we have. We wanted to build a balanced bit of information as to the successes. We are now able to collect data. We're capturing data. And that information, as the mayor points out, when he gets a chance to go back in front of those Senate and House committees, will be information that we want to share with those committees so that there's compelling arguments to move forward on moving the bills that we see in the future should be done. So this was the bill. It was enrolled. What do we have to talk about with this? When you decide to go with red light, there's a series of vendors out there, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But the actual nuts and bolts is you need to adopt an ordinance. And we can make very easily available to you models of ordinances that we have prepared, that we're utilizing, that have been adopted. We have a couple little twists and bellwoods. We haven't been challenged, so I'm going to hold my breath a while. But what we also include, it's a $100 ticket. The statute allows us to go up to $100. It is basically doubled when you don't pay, so there's an incentive for people to pay, and if they don't pay, it gets doubled. We have a regular collection process that's gone through if they don't pay the bill, and they find it ultimately on their credit report. The adjudication system allows us to make it an actual debt to be collected here in the state of Illinois. We are also issuing citations for expired license plates. So if that violator goes through the red light and their license plate is expired, and we can see that with the video, we then issue an additional ticket of $100 for expired plates. So in some instances, this becomes a very expensive proposition. If they didn't renew their license plates, it's $200. We've kind of looked at some of the other elasticity we might be able to do with the statute, and we're looking at that situation. Installation of equipment, there's a variety of companies out there, Traffic Packs, Red Speed, Red Flex. Ironically enough, we have Red Speed and Red Flex in town, and we've been talking to Traffic Packs, and probably we'll look at including some of their equipment. So we're kind of an interesting laboratory of a variety of vendors, and people have come down and looked at what we've done and we see strengths and weaknesses in each of the vendors, and some interesting thoughts that we have. We had to expand our administrative adjudication system, and the adjudication is interesting. We run several adjudications each week, and it's interesting what we learned about our driving public in the administrative adjudication. I remember the first couple of nights that people came in for the night court, and it was literally like the comic routine of night court on TV. We had stand-up comedy. I'll never forget, one lady came up, and she said, she admonished the adjudicator, this is a right turn on red state. And the adjudicator said, you're absolutely correct. And she couldn't understand that you had to stop completely before you turned. And so, and she went through that intersection at 26 miles an hour. She made that turn. She hung on and spun around that corner. And of course, it was interesting because the crowd, it was sort of like being in the Colosseum in Rome. The adjudicator would look out, is it thumbs up, is it thumbs down, and then look down at the person and say, I guess you heard the group, they believe you are guilty, and pay the clerk. And what we have also adopted in the ordinance, and we believe is legally correct, is a $40 administrative fee for those who contest the hearing. It's sort of like court costs you have when you go into the circuit court. So if someone just wants to pay it by mail or come in and pay it, it's $100. If they come into a hearing and they're found guilty, it's $140. So we explain that. So now we are learning a little bit more ourselves. At the beginning of the hearing, we explain Illinois traffic law. And so this is red light, and this is right turn on red that we're enforcing with the camera, as well as the license plates that are expired. Probably our best producing intersection, which is a little bit like the lotto or the casino type of operation, and that's my warning that I'm running out of power, and I thought we had plugged in, but maybe we didn't. Has been an intersection where we got mostly the red light on, the right turn on red light, and probably we're running at about 40-45% of the tickets on that intersection are right turn on red. And I warn you of this because in the village of Elmwood Park, they kind of chose to put this first red light camera sort of in the middle of town, and so they're able to catch all their residents. And the village manager's office and the mayor's office is besieged with concerns about this system because nobody drives and stops at red lights. The one that we have at Harrison and the Eisenhower is an interesting one because somewhere in the neighborhood, at least of the tickets we issue, well over 90% of those tickets are to people that are not in the area. So I guess I'll warn anybody that wants to come through Bellwood, as you're trying to get on the Eisenhower Expressway, and if you decide to make a right turn on red, which is our real hook there, we get everybody from Naperville, Downers Grove, Oswego, Aurora, and I guess they're all in a hurry to get home, and so they kind of slide through there. And it's interesting because that intersection is it's a guaranteed amount of money. We installed that, and we're seeing $60,000 to $70,000 a month just on one direction there. And that's pretty amazing because, everyone told us that we would be slacking off on the revenue on that light, and it just keeps popping. I look at the results on that intersection every month, and this is just one direction I'm talking about, not counting the other direction there. So it's important that we do that.